Hi, I'm Martin, and I'd like to introduce you to Deckhive.com. Now, card decks are a really popular resource with coaches, trainers and facilitators and many other professionals around the world, and for good reason. They work really, really well. Whether you're using picture cards, word cards, question cards, strengths cards, values cards, or many of the other different kinds of decks of cards that are available now, they really are effective at helping people to reflect, to open up, to share, to discuss with a group or one-to-one, and to build connections and bonds between people. So there are lots of different ways you can use card decks. That's one of the great beauties of them, is that they're so flexible. So you as the professional who is using them can find different ways that really fit with your style of working and with the audience that you're working with. Now, Deckhive.com is a way to use the same decks of cards that you know and love already in a digital form. So we've digitized the cards, we've enabled you to use them on screen. So whether you're working with people locally or remotely and you're looking at the screen, you can work collaboratively with them to do the same kind of activities that you would if you're working face-to-face with those same cards. So in this video, I'll give you a quick introduction to the platform so you can see how it works and how you can use it in the work that you do. And I'll introduce you to some of the card decks that we have in our library already, as well as mentioning how you can create your own card deck if that's something that's important for you. So let's get started. Okay, so this is what you'll see when you start a brand new Deckhive session. You'll basically see a blank table. So we call this the table on the screen, the sort of blank area where we can place the cards. So we try and think of this just as we would a real table if we were working with physical cards in front of us. We can open up the deck of cards by clicking on the icon on the left hand side. We can scroll through the deck. We can also flip them all over at once if we wanted to by using that arrow on the top left. And then we can choose any cards we like by simply dragging them onto the table. And unlike the real world, we don't run out of cards, so we can have lots of different versions of the same card if we wanted to and duplicate like that. We can close the deck down to give us some more space to work with, and then we can of course move the cards around. We can flip them over, we can duplicate them again, we can delete them, or we can enlarge them, which is particularly handy if you've got a deck of cards that's got quite small writing on them and a fair bit of detail. We can also zoom in and zoom out to get a different view of the table, which can be helpful depending on how many cards, of course, you've added to the table. And we can pan around to find some blank space or find some of the other content that might be in the session. We can also add some sticky notes and place those where we like, change the colour of those, add some text as we wish. And those can be really useful for structuring a session. So sometimes we'll provide categories or questions or suggestions for the activity that we want people to do and write them on those sticky notes so that they're visible for everybody. Or sometimes people who are involved in the session will use them to capture notes and reflections as they're going through the activity as well. So they can be used in different ways. If we could have a different colour for each person, for example, just to help make things more clear as you're going through. Now, the session can be used like this, where we can just kind of screen share our table to other people so they can see it, or we can actually invite them to partake in the session in a more active way. So we do that by activating the session, which removes the draft wallpaper, makes it a bit cleaner, and then we can click on the icon on the top left there with the people, and that creates a join link and a share link. We copy that to the clipboard, and then we put that into our Zoom chat or Teams chat or on an email, for example. And the user then just has to click on that, and then they'll be taken into the session. And we'll see the number, the green number here, will go up as more people join the session as well. So we can see how many people are live in the session and who they are. Click on that icon, and then we'll also see who the people are who are in the session. So anyone who's in a session can then move cards around. They can select cards from the deck, put them on the table, move the cards around, flip them over, and so on. And so we can use the cards, as you can see, just as we would in any other meeting when we're working with the physical cards. Now, one thing that can be really helpful if you're working with a group is to add additional tables. So you'll see at the bottom we have the number 1, and if I, as a host, click on the plus sign, I will be able to create additional tables. And then what that does is just create a different space for different people or different groups to be able to do the activity. So the way we often would do it is to say if you're in breakout room 2 in Zoom, then you'll be on table 2 in Deckhive, just to make things really simple. And so people navigate to that table, they click on the number, and it gives them their own space to work in. Just to clarify, in terms of how this works alongside Zoom and Teams and other communication tools that you might use, Deckhive works in the web browser, so whether it's Chrome or Safari or Edge, people have various different browsers they use, and Deckhive should work in all of them equally well. Chrome is generally the one we recommend, but you should find that all the browsers work well, apart from Internet Explorer, which isn't brilliant because it's a bit old now. So essentially that's how it works. You share the link, people join the session, and then they engage in the activity that you direct for them, whether you're being their manager, their coach, the facilitator, the trainer, or teacher, whoever. Then you can do the activity just as you would ordinarily do it. So people can take a screenshot of wherever you get to as well and download that locally, but you'll also save that session and be able to access it again in your dashboard, so you can then reactivate that session again in the future if you would like to bring people back in at a future date. So they're the key things you need to know about how everything works. You can see it's a very flexible system. There are lots of different ways that you can use it. So which decks can you use in your sessions? Well, there are a range of different options. You can create your own deck, or you can use one of the ones that's currently in our library. At the moment we have 23 decks in the library, but more will be added in the coming weeks and months as well. You'll see there are a number of starter decks at the top of the library. These are the ones that are available on our free plan. The rest you'll need to be on one of the paid plans to be able to access them. But you will be able to get access to all the decks if you are on one of those plans. With each of the decks in the library, you simply click on it to learn a bit more about that deck and who created it. You'll see a bit of a description. You'll be able to watch an introductory video about the deck and how it can be used in Deckhive, and get some tips about what it might be most useful for. In some cases, you'll also find some additional resources that are available for you. So you can download some documents, you can watch some additional exercise guides on YouTube and so on. So you'll see those resources available with some of the decks. At the minute, you'll see that we've got a range of different options. We've got these lovely watercolour cards, coaching cards that were created by Pete Mosley, who's very well known to the barefoot coaching audience. And we have the good question cards and some other question card decks, which are great for icebreaker kind of contexts and also in some coaching scenarios as well. We have questions around values, or cards around values and strengths cards. We have cards around creativity and appreciative inquiry. And we have a couple of different picture card decks. So we have the Pathways deck, and we also have the Liminal Muse deck, which is a great way to use that visual metaphor to enable people to discuss and open up around a particular topic. So all those cards are available for you to use right away. And as I say, more will be added soon. But if you don't find what you want there, then it's very easy to create your own card deck. I won't go into the details of that now, but there is a support video around that, which will get you up and running in no time. And then just to point out that any of the decks that you create or that you favourite will then be added to your dashboard, which is where you'll also find all of the previous sessions that you have saved. So if you wanted to go back into any of the existing sessions, that's where you'd find those in your dashboard. So it's all very straightforward, but if you do have any questions at all or want to know anything more or have any feedback for us, then please do get in touch. We'd love to hear from you, and we hope that you find the platform useful. Just before I go, I'd like to quickly point out the support section at the bottom of the website. So if you look at the blue menu there, you'll see the support link. Just click on that and it will open up the tutorials and FAQs where you can find out a bit more. And if you look at the tutorials, you'll see that many of the sections have little videos in them that will give you a step-by-step guide about how to do any of the things that you're looking to do. So hopefully you'll find the support you need there. But as I say, if you don't, then please do get in touch and we'll be happy to help.